I have got just a few more minutes here, so let's use our Kings and Queens Blender file as a jumping off point to do just a little bit more detailed hole work on here. So same deal, we've got our holes cut there, lovely. But let's cut these out and then create some plywood underneath the playfield that you can see. That'd be real sharp. It's just that added little bit of detail. Alright, so same kind of deal. We're going to hit 7 to view this straight up and down. We're in object mode. And we're going to add just a basic plane. I'm going to scale it to the width of this hole. So that's just hitting S, moving it into place, scaling a little more. Yeah, that looks good. Okay, and then what we want to do is we want to go into edit mode, vertices select, grab all 4 corners. So our 4 vertices are selected. We're going to Control Shift B, and that's going to bevel those corners. And if you roll your mouse, you're going to add vertices to that bevel, which is going to round it out better. So once that looks like about the right shape on the bottom, we'll click, and we're going to hit C to circle select just the top half of that. So once just the top half is selected, we're going to G and just pull it along Y until it's right in place. Perfect. Okay. I'm going to hit A to select all of them. Shift D to duplicate those vertices, and we're going to go pull that over here. Shouldn't have to do much as far as positioning. Should be pretty much symmetrical. Great. We'll duplicate. Okay. So usually your upper switches on a game of this era are longer. So again, we'll just grab the top ones, pull them along Y until they're the right shape, and then we'll just make sure all of those are selected. Now these are all part of the same mesh here, so make sure none of these are selected, or you'll be doing yourself a huge disservice. You can zip ahead in the video for a minute here. Skip this boring part. I don't have any good jokes to tell or anything while I'm doing fussy work, so sorry for that. And if you had a playfield that had the holes properly drawn in for lamps or leaf switches, any of them that would be visible from a playing position, you would want to cut out and create holes for too. So, you know, here, and maybe if a lamp was visible down here, you'd want to do that. Stuff like that. Just do the visible ones. Don't add geometry where you don't need to. But we don't have that luxury here. I guess, you know, what you could do is, it actually might not be the worst idea, but I'm not going to do it today, would be to go figure out where those places would be. You know, you got leaf switches here, and you could, you know, add a hole here, and you wouldn't even need to have it drawn in. It would just be a hole in the playfield when you bring it into visual pinball. You know, hole here, hole here, hole here, probably one for a lamp. But again, not exactly what we're after here right now. So let's grab just those things, go back into isolated mode, and let's grab that mesh. All those holes. We're going to go into edit mode. I'm going to make sure that my normals are all calculated outside at this point, so they're all facing the same way. I'm going to extrude along just Z, so I'm going to hit Z so that we're only pulling up and down. We're going to pull it down through the playfield and then do exactly what we did before. We're going to add a modifier, Boolean difference, eyedropper on those holes, and you can see the preview of all of them there. Okay, so we're going to apply it, get rid of that mesh, and now we've got a playfield with all of these holes. Lovely. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we are going to just highlight one edge inside of one of the holes. We're going to go to select, similar, amount of faces around an edge. So now all of the edges in this mesh are selected. I'll tell you what I'm going to do before we do this though. As before, we're going to clean up, merge by distance, which is the same thing as remove doubles. Control T, Alt J. Alright, there we go. Now all of our geometry is good. So going back, we're going to grab one inside edge, select, similar amount of faces around an edge. All of our edges are selected. We're going to go into object mode. We're going to duplicate the playfield. Now we have two playfields. We're going to go into edit mode on one of them, and with all those edges selected, we're going to Control I, select all the edges that aren't those edges. We're going to X, and we're going to delete all of those edges. So now we have, let me show you in a different view. So now what we have is a mesh with just all the edges. That's all it is. And from that position, we want to extrude just along Z and down 0.025, negative 0.025, so downward, which is approximately the width of, or the depth of a playfield. So now, what we have here is all of the holes that we can apply a texture to. And so we can look at it. Lovely. All we have to do is map it so that a single texture can be applied to each of those. It's really basic, which is nice. We can go to UV editing, make sure that the mesh with all those holes is what's selected. Let's shade it all smooth. So Control, shade smooth when you're in object mode. Perfect. Looks good. Okay, so you're going to tab into edit mode. And let's, yeah. So then from our view, we want to view completely from the side. So I hit 1. That gives us a perfect orthographic side mode. Remember, we're in orthographic view, not perspective view, because look, we wouldn't want to map from there. Not precise, but that's nice and precise. So we're going to project from view bounds. Okay, and that's going to give us the image mapping for all of these. So we'll just make sure that these are clean. Clean up. Okay, remove doubles, Control T, Alt J. Okay, in edit mode with all of our vertices selected, we're going to export. We'll call that plywood. And that's that. Okay, and then on the other side of things, we want to select the actual playfield. Go perfectly straight up and down. In edit mode with all vertices selected, we're going to project that from view bounds. Over here on our UV map, we're going to rotate that 180 degrees so that everything looks right. Everything's positioned correctly. So then, in edit mode with all of our vertices selected, we're going to export over our old one. Okay. So now we go to King and Queens. Kings and Queens. We select our Playfield Mesh. Bring in our new one. Great. Okay, so now we have all the cutouts there. New primitive called holes. We're going to import the plywood we just made. There it is, lovely. Visible, static, no reflection needed. Can be the same material as the playfield if we want. Actually, you know what? Plastic white for now. Not collidable. At zeros and 100%, so that's lined up nice. And then we need to get our texture for that. So you can grab this from just about anywhere. It's that Ornhole 3. Sounds like a bad joke, doesn't it? All right. Assign that texture. And that should do it. So now you have more complex holes and a really simple mesh underneath it that's going to give us that plywood. Yep, looks lovely. Cool. So there you go. Just a little more complicated. Takes a little bit more time, but ultimately, I think, especially when you're down here and you get this nice view right there, just looks more realistic. Looks good. We would do best then to also make the background black, so you're not seeing the wood floor through the holes. So there you go. Hope that's helpful.